Joshua, chapter 16. Ephraim and Manasseh are the two tribes descended from Joseph, and the following is a description of the land they received. The southern border of their land started at the Jordan River, east of the spring at Jericho. From there it went west through the desert, up to the hill country around Bethel. From Bethel it went to Luz, and then to the border of the Arkites in Adaroth. It continued west down to the land that belonged to the Japhlet clan, then went on to lower Beth-horon, Gezer, and the Mediterranean Sea. The following is a description of the land that was divided among the clans of the Ephraim tribe. Their southern border started at Adaroth-Adar, and went west to Upper Beth-horon and the Mediterranean Sea. Their northern border started on the east at Genoa, curved a little to the north, then came back south to Mikmethath and Tappuah, where it followed the Cana Gorge west to the Mediterranean Sea. The eastern border started on the north near Genoa, and went between Genoa on the southwest and Taanath-Shiloh on the northeast. Then it went south to Adaroth, Naarah, and on as far as the edge of the land that belonged to Jericho. At that point it turned east and went to the Jordan River. The clans of Ephraim received this region as their tribal land. Ephraim also had some towns and villages that were inside Manasseh's tribal land. Ephraim could not force the Canaanites out of Gezer, so there are still some Canaanites who live there among the Israelites. But now these Canaanites have to work as slaves for the Israelites. Joshua, chapter 17. Manasseh was Joseph's oldest son, and Machir was Manasseh's oldest son. Machir had a son named Gilead, and some of his descendants had already received the regions of Gilead and Bashan because they were good warriors. The other clans of the Manasseh tribe descended from Gilead's sons Abiezer, Helek, Asriel, Shechem, Hepher, and Shemida. The following is a description of the land they received. Hepher's son, Zelophehad, did not have any sons, but he did have 5 daughters, Mela, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. One day the clans that were descendants of Zelophehad's 5 daughters went to the priest Eleazar, Joshua, and the leaders of Israel. The people of these clans said,
"The Lord told Moses to give us land, just as he gave land to our relatives."
Joshua followed the Lord's instructions and gave land to these 5 clans, as he had given land to the 5 clans that had descended from Hepher's brothers. So Manasseh's land west of the Jordan River was divided into 10 parts. The land of the Manasseh tribe went from its northern border with the Asher tribe south to Mikmethath, which is to the east of Shechem. The southern border started there, but curved even farther south to include the people who lived around Tappuah Spring. The town of Tappuah was on Manasseh's border with Ephraim. Although the land around Tappuah belonged to Manasseh, the town itself belonged to Ephraim. Then the border went west to the Cana Gorge and ran along the northern edge of the gorge to the Mediterranean Sea. The land south of the gorge belonged to Ephraim. And even though there were a few towns that belonged to Ephraim north of the gorge, the land north of the gorge belonged to Manasseh. The western border of Manasseh was the Mediterranean Sea, and the tribe shared a border with the Asher tribe on the northwest, and with the Issachar tribe on the northeast. Manasseh was supposed to have the following towns with their surrounding villages inside the borders of Issachar's and Asher's tribal lands: Beth-shean, Ibleam, Endor, Taanach, Megiddo, and Dor, which is also called Naphath. But the people of Manasseh could not capture these towns, so the Canaanites kept on living in them. When the Israelites grew stronger, they made the Canaanites in these towns work as their slaves, though they never did force them to leave. One day the Joseph tribes came to Joshua and asked,
"Why didn't you give us more land? The Lord has always been kind to us, and we have too many people for this small region."
Joshua replied,
"If you have so many people that you don't have enough room in the hill country of Ephraim, then go into the forest that belong to the Perizzites and the Rapha. Clear out the trees and make more room for yourselves there."
"Even if we do that,"
they answered,
there still won't be enough land for us in the hill country, and we can't move down into Jezreel Valley because the Canaanites who live in Bethshean and in other parts of the valley have iron chariots.
Your tribes do have a lot of people,
Joshua admitted.
I'll give you more land. Your tribes are powerful, so you can have the rest of the hill country, but it's a forest, and you'll have to cut down the trees and clear the land. You can also have Jezreel Valley. Even though the Canaanites there are strong and have iron chariots, you can force them to leave the valley.
Joshua chapter 18. After Israel had captured the land, they met at Shiloh and set up the sacred tent. There were still 7 tribes without any land, so Joshua told the people,
The Judah tribe has already settled in its land in the south, and the Joseph tribes have settled in their land in the north. The tribes of Gad, Reuben, and East Manasseh already have the land that the Lord's servant Moses gave them east of the Jordan River. And the people of Levi won't get a single large region of the land like the other tribes. Instead, they will serve the Lord as priests. But the rest of you haven't done a thing to take over any land. The Lord God who was worshipped by your ancestors has given you the land, and now it's time to go ahead and settle there. 7 tribes still don't have any land. Each of these tribes should choose 3 men, and I'll send them to explore the remaining land. They will divide it into 7 regions, write a description of each region, and bring these descriptions back to me. I will find out from the Lord our God what region each tribe should get.
Just before the men left camp, Joshua repeated their orders.
Explore the land, and write a description of it. Then come back to Shiloh, and I will find out from the Lord how to divide the land.
The men left and went across the land, dividing it into 7 regions. They wrote down a description of each region, town by town, and returned to Joshua at the camp at Shiloh. Joshua found out from the Lord how to divide the land, and he told the tribes what the Lord had decided.
Benjamin was the first tribe chosen to receive land. The region for its clans lay between the Judah tribe on the south and the Joseph tribes on the north. Benjamin's northern border started at the Jordan River and went up the ridge north of Jericho, then on west into the hill country as far as the Bethaven desert. From there it went to Luz, which is now called Bethel. The border ran along the ridge south of Luz, then went to Ataroth Orek, and on as far as the mountains south of Lower Beth Horon. At that point it turned south and became the western border. It went as far south as Kiriath Baal, a town in Judah now called Kiriath Jearim. Benjamin's southern border started at the edge of Kiriath Jearim and went east to the ruins and on to Nephtoah Spring. From there it went to the bottom of the hill at the northern end of Rephaim Valley. The other side of this hill faces Hinnom Valley, which is on the land that slopes south from Jerusalem. The border went down through Hinnom Valley until it reached En-Rogel.
At En-Rogel, the border curved north and went to En-Shemesh and on east to Gilaloth, which is across the valley from Adummim Pass. Then it went down to the monument of Bohan, who belonged to the Reuben tribe. The border ran along the hillside north of Beth Araba, then down into the Jordan River Valley. Inside the valley it went south as far as the northern hillside of Beth Hogla. The last section of the border went from there to the northern end of the Dead Sea, at the mouth of the Jordan River. The Jordan River itself was Benjamin's eastern border. These were the borders of Benjamin's tribal land, where the clans of Benjamin lived. One region of Benjamin's tribal land had 12 towns with their surrounding villages. Those towns were Jericho, Beth Hogla, Emek Keziz, Beth Araba, Zemaraim, Bethel, Avim, Perah, Ophrah, Kephar Ammoni, Ophni, and Geba. In the other region there were the following 14 towns with their surrounding villages: Gibeon, Ramah, Beeroth, Mizpah, Kephirah, Moza, Rechem, Irpeel, Tarala, Zelah, Haeleph, Gibeah, Kiriath Jearim, and Jerusalem, which is also called Jebusite town. These regions are the tribal lands of Benjamin. Joshua chapter 19. Simeon was the second tribe chosen to receive land, and the region for its clans was inside Judah's borders. In one region of Simeon's tribal land, there were the following 13 towns with their surrounding villages: Beersheba, Shema, Moladah, Hazar Shual, Bela, Ezem, El Tolad, Bethuel, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth Markaboth, Hazar Susa, Beth Lebaoth, and Sheruhen. In another region, Simeon had the following 4 towns with their surrounding villages: Enrimmon, Taken, Ether, and Ashan. Simeon's land also included all the other towns and villages as far south as Baalath Beer, which is also called Ramah of the south. Simeon's tribal land was actually inside Judah's territory. Judah had received too much land for the number of people in its tribe, so part of Judah's land was given to Simeon. Zebulun was the third tribe chosen to receive land. The southern border for its clans started in the west at the edge of the gorge near Jokneam. It went east to the edge of the land that belongs to the town of Dabbesheth, and continued on to Maralah and Sarid. It took in the land that belongs to Kisloth Tabor, then ended at Daberath. The eastern border went up to Japhiah and continued north to Gath-Hepher, Ethkazin, and Ramona, where it curved toward Neah and became the northern border. Then it curved south around Anathon and went as far west as Iftahel Valley. Zebulun had 12 towns with their surrounding villages. Some of these were Kadesh, Nahalal, Shimron, Jerulah, and Bethlehem. This is the tribal land, and these are the towns and villages of the Zebulun clans. Issachar was the 4th tribe chosen to receive land. The northern border for its clans went from Mount Tabor east to the Jordan River. Their land included the following 16 towns with their surrounding villages: Jezreel, Kesoloth, Shunem, Hapharaim, Shion, Anaharath, Debirath, Kishion, Ebez, Remeth, En-Ganim, En-Hada, Beth-Pazzaz, Tabor, Shehazuma, and Beth-Shemesh. Asher was the 5th tribe chosen to receive land, and the region for its clans included the following towns: Helkath, Halai, Beaton, Akshaph, Alamelech, Amad, and Mishal. Asher's southern border ran from the Mediterranean Sea southeast along the Shihor-Libnath River at the foot of Mount Carmel, then east to Beth Dagon. On the southeast, Asher shared a border with Zebulun along the Iftahel Valley. On the eastern side, their border ran north to Beth-Emek, went east of Cable, and then on to Naail, Abdon, Rehob, Hammon, Cana, and as far north as the city of Sidon. Then it turned west to become the northern border and went to Ramah and the fortress city of Tyre. Near Tyre, it turned toward Hosa and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. Asher had a total of 22 towns with their surrounding villages, including Mahalab, Akzib, Akko, Aphek, and Rehob. Naphtali was the 6th tribe chosen to receive land. The southern border for its clans started in the west, where the tribal lands of Asher and Zebulun meet near Hukkok. From that point it ran east and southeast along the border with Zebulun as far as Aznoth Tabor. From there, the border went east to Heleph, Adamai Nekeb, Jabneel, then to the town called Oak and Zaananim, and Lacham. The southern border ended at the Jordan River at the edge of the town named Jehudah. Naphtali shared a border with Asher on the west. The Naphtali clans received this region as their tribal land, and it included 19 towns with their surrounding villages. The following towns had walls around them: Ziddim, Zur, Hamath, Rakkath, Kinnereth, Adamah, Ramah, Hazor, Kedesh, Edrei, En-Hazer, Iron, Migdalel, Horem, Beth-Anath, and Beth-Shemesh. Dan was the seventh tribe chosen to receive land, and the region for its clans included the following towns: Zorah, Eshtaol, Ir-Shemesh, Sheol-Laban, Ajalon, Ithla, Elon, Timnah, Ekron, Eltekeh, Gibbethon, Baalath, Jehud, Azor, Beni-Berak, Gath-Rimmon, Mejarkon, and Rakkon. Dan's tribal land went almost as far as Joppa. Its clans received this land and these towns with their surrounding villages. Later, when enemies forced them to leave their tribal land, they went to the town of Leshem. They attacked the town, captured it, and killed the people who lived there. Then they settled there themselves and renamed the town Dan after their ancestor. The Israelites were still gathered in Shiloh in front of the sacred tent, when Eleazar the priest, Joshua, and the family leaders of Israel finished giving out the land to the tribes. The Lord had told the people to give Joshua whatever town he wanted. So Joshua chose Timnath-Serah in the hill country of Ephraim, and the people gave it to him. Joshua went to Timnath-Serah, rebuilt it, and lived there. Joshua chapter 20. One day the Lord told Joshua,
"When Moses was still alive, I had him tell the Israelites about the safe towns. Now you tell them that it is time to set up these towns."
If a person accidentally kills someone and the victim's relatives say it was murder, they might try to take revenge. Anyone accused of murder can run to one of the safe towns and be safe from the victim's relatives. The one needing protection will stand at the entrance to the town gate and explain to the town leaders what happened. Then the leaders will bring that person in and provide a place to live in their town. One of the victim's relatives might come to the town looking for revenge, but the town leaders must not simply hand over the person accused of murder. After all, the accused and the victim had been neighbors, not enemies. The citizens of that safe town must come together and hold a trial. They may decide that the victim was killed accidentally and that the accused is not guilty of murder. Everyone found not guilty must still live in the safe town until the high priest dies. Then they can go back to their own towns and their homes that they had to leave behind.
The Israelites decided that the following three towns west of the Jordan River would be safe towns: Kedesh in Galilee in Naphtali's hill country, Shechem in Ephraim's hill country, and Kiriath Arba in Judah's hill country. Kiriath Arba is now called Hebron. The Israelites had already decided on the following three towns east of the Jordan River: Bezer in the desert flatlands of Reuben, Ramoth in Gilead, which was a town that belonged to Gad, and Golan in Bashan, which belonged to Manasseh. These safe towns were set up so that if Israelites or even foreigners who lived in Israel accidentally killed someone, they could run to one of these towns. There they would be safe until a trial could be held, even if one of the victim's relatives came looking for revenge.